Guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Yapaya and you are now watching episode 3 of my makeup fundamental series. So far we've covered brows and wing liner, and in this episode we will be covering the face. So I'll be focusing on the base, moisturizing, priming, foundation, concealer, contour, and things like that. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's hop right into it.
So the first and most important step to any base routine is moisturizing. Now moisturizing is crucial because it preps and balances the skin, creating a smooth, hydrated surface so makeup applies evenly, blends better, and lasts longer without looking cakey or patchy. This is a step you don't want to skip. Now the very next step that you also never want to skip is priming. So primer is a base that you apply before foundation, and it smooths your skin and helps your makeup to stick better. It's very important because it makes your makeup last longer and look more even. Just a quick tip, if you want to know if your primer is a good primer, after you blend it in, make sure to just lightly tap your face, and if your face feels really sticky, that's how you know you probably have a good primer, because your makeup will have something to really grip to. So now that we set up a really good, strong, flawless base, we're gonna get into the actual foundation, highlight, contouring, and things like that. So the first thing I like to do, if needed, is color correct. So color correcting is when you use the opposite color to cancel out discoloration before you apply your foundation. So you're basically using the color theory in order to get an even skin tone. So for example, orange cancels out dark marks because they typically have a blue or purplish undertone to them. Green cancels out redness, so if there's any redness on your face, you can use a green color corrector, so on and so forth. And as you can see on my model, I use like an orangey color corrector underneath her eyes, and when she looks at the camera right here, you can see how much the skin is now even and balanced because we color corrected. So now I'm just going to do that on the other side. Another tip for you guys, because I'm the makeup artist that likes to save money. So you don't have to go and buy a product that says color corrector on it. If you absolutely need to, like if you need a specific color like blue or green, then by all means. But if you need one that's, let's say, orangey, right? You can take whatever concealer or foundation you have that have those orange undertones and use that to cancel out the discoloration instead of spending your extra money. And now let's get into the foundation, highlight, and contour. So I'm going to show you guys a pro technique that allows me to use as little amount of product as possible, making the makeup feel really lightweight but also still very full coverage, and it saves me some time. I call it the one layer method. So with the one layer method, essentially what you're doing is you're only applying product where you need it. So instead of applying your foundation, highlight, and contour in 3 separate layers and then blending it out, you're going to apply it all at once in one layer, and then you're going to blend it out together. So I like to start off with highlight because what I've noticed is that when you let the concealer sit and dry down for a little bit, it has a more seamless and full coverage blend. So highlighting in makeup is basically when you use a lighter shade of either concealer or foundation, typically concealer, and you put that in the areas of your face that you want to highlight, that you want to announce, that you kind of want to bring out. So if you don't know where to highlight, what you can do is stand in front of any type of lighting and just observe where the light naturally hits your face. For most people, I find that that's your T-zone, the bridge of your nose, underneath your eyes, above your lip, and right in that space in the middle of your eyebrows. Now remember, highlighting is all about the features that you want to bring out. So if the light doesn't naturally hit your chin, but you want to highlight your chin, you can definitely do that too. It's all about what you personally like. Also, when highlighting, you want to make sure that you use a shade probably 2 to 3 shades lighter than your natural skin tone, unless you want an extra bright look or you don't want it to be that bright. But if you're kind of going for that like me but better look, I say 2 to 3 shades lighter than your natural skin tone. Product placement is especially important for this technique because it's a one layer method. You don't really want the products to overlap because the goal is to have that lightweight full coverage look, and we're also trying to crunch down on time. So only place the products where you want them to be. So after I place the highlight in that area, now I'm moving on to the foundation, and I'm placing it basically in the areas that the contour and the highlight won't be. So contouring in simple terms is the exact opposite of highlighting. Instead of trying to bring something out, what you're doing is chiseling it down, making something smaller or more dimensioned, So I typically contour on people's cheeks because I kind of want them to have that like snatched look, and their forehead, if you have a forehead that's a little big and you want to make it smaller, you can contour there. And with contouring, what you're doing is you're using a shade that has a cool tone to it because you want to add that little bit of shadow, and it has to be a few shades darker than you in order to see that depth and dimension. So with highlighting, the brighter shade you go, the more you're bringing out the feature that you're applying it to. With contouring, the darker shade you go, the more you're chiseling down the feature you're applying it to. Makeup is very much so a trust the process type of thing, and this technique is no different. When you're doing this technique, when you're doing your makeup in general, you're gonna look crazy for most of it. It will only really look put together towards the end, and that's okay. The number one tip I recommend for this technique is only placing the highlight where you want it, the contour where you want it, and the foundation where you want it, and not letting the products overlap. Once you do that, most of the work is already done. So this is how it should look once you place the products everywhere. You highlight it in the areas that the light hits your face, you contoured in the areas that you wanted to chisel down, and you put foundation basically everywhere else. And now we're gonna focus on blending. So when blending out the makeup, you really wanna make sure that you're taking your time. If you rush, it most likely will look rushed. So just make sure to take your time and try to blend everything out to your best ability. I like to use a combination of tapping motions and a little bit of swiping motions in order to get that perfect blend, but I tend to tell people do what feels comfortable. As long as it comes out nice and seamless, it truly doesn't matter. Makeup has no rules except for do what works best for you. Also, when you're blending out the highlight, the foundation, the contour, you want to try to keep them in the areas that you applied them to. Now, of course, there will be natural overlapping when you blend it, because I wouldn't say it's an overlap, it's more of like a seamless transition, and that's what you want. You want to be able to see that you highlighted, that you contoured, but you don't want definite harsh lines, and you also don't want muddy patches. So what I like to do, as you can see here, is in between my blends, I like to just take my brush and wipe it on a paper towel and then continue blending, and that's what helps me to prevent muddiness or like patchiness and just those harsh lines. It helps you to get rid of the leftover product on your brush so that you're not blending the contour into the highlight too much or the highlight into the foundation too much and things like that. Another tip for getting seamless blends and kind of keeping certain products in their rightful place is the direction you blend it in. So for example, in this area, right, I don't want the contour to blend too much into the foundation, and so I'm blending the foundation below the contour downwards towards the neck. And then when I touch the contour, I'm gonna blend it upwards and kind of in its spot, because I don't want to drag it down. That will defeat the purpose of contouring, and it won't have that same chiseled snatch look. So I'm kind of blending it in its place on the cheek and upwards towards the temple to give me that snatched look. Now, if you're a liquid blush girly, I highly recommend adding it now and then blending out the highlight into the liquid blush, because I think it looks more seamless, more doll-like, you know, things like that. Now, we could have added the liquid blush once we added all the layers together, like when we initially did the highlight, contour, and foundation. But I think if we would have thrown blush into the mix, it would have been a muddy mess, and it would have been 10 times harder to blend out and keep everything into its place. So if you're doing liquid blush, I definitely recommend doing it right before you blend out the highlight. And now it's time to blend out the highlight. So when you're blending out the highlight, I definitely recommend using a different brush or sponge from what you use to blend out the contour and the foundation, just because I want to keep that center nice and bright. So I'm using a Real Technique setting brush, and I'm just using tapping motions in order to blend out those highlighted areas. Once again, still trying to keep the product in its place. When blending out the highlight, I also recommend kind of going in an outward and up motion, basically blending up towards the temple to give that snatched and lifted look to the face. Just making sure not to bring it down too low, because we want to make sure that you can still see the blush, the contour, and things like that. And that pretty much concludes the end of this technique and the end of this video. I hope you guys really found this video super duper helpful. Let me know if you guys try this technique out in the comments below. If you have any questions about the products I use, the technique itself, any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave a comment down below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that when I post, you will be the first to know. Make sure to catch up with me on my social medias. They will be down in the description box below as well. And I will see you guys in episode 4 of my Makeup Fundamental series. Next, we will be covering powders and how to properly set your face. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.